Hey there, welcome to Whiteboard Friday Revisited. I'm your host, Joe Cameron, and I head up the content team here at Moz. In this series, I'm going to be talking with some industry heavyweights and Whiteboard Friday hosts who have shared some incredible knowledge with us over the years. So many people tell me that they learned SEO through Moz and through our Whiteboard Friday series. You may not be familiar with me. I work behind the scenes on filming Whiteboard Friday episodes that we are still producing and publishing to this day. In this episode of Whiteboard Friday Revisited, I talk with the absolute legend, Cyrus Shepard. I had the pleasure of working with him when he was on the Moz staff, and he's such a fantastic person, such a treat and a pleasure to talk with. So you'll see in this interview that I am super excited to chat with him. In this episode, we talk about his fantastic episode that he filmed with us in 2021. And as he mentions in the video, we did a succession of them where it was this many tips for this year, 21 SEO tips for 2021. We thought this was the last one, but I had a look in the archives. There is actually another one, 22 tips for 2022. But I did notice that it's not on our YouTube channel. So I'm going to publish that there. If you see an erroneous old Whiteboard Friday episode being published, that is why. And I'll link to it in the description below. So I'm super excited to share with you this interview. It's the first one that I've done. And Cyrus is one of those people who is just such a treat. He knows so much about SEO. He started with Moz many, many years ago. And I had the pleasure of working with him on a bunch of different projects and on a bunch of different teams. He now runs his own SEO company, Zippy. The other thing I wanted to mention is we talk a bit about brand in this episode and the Moz brand and, reeling off some of these concepts that are used to create the Moz brand and things that we've done intentionally that tie into that brand. So Whiteboard Friday is one. Cyrus does mention Moz Rank, which is now defunct, and mentions Moz Bar in the past tense, but Moz Bar is still current. It is still downloadable, and we relaunched it recently. It also has brand authority integrated into it. So if you tried it in the past and it didn't work for you, or you've since got rid of it, or maybe you have it disabled in your Chrome toolbar, please give it another try. And when we talk about brand, as I mentioned, if you're wanting to measure your brand salience, then brand authority is the metric for that. So give that a try as well. I would appreciate it. Okay, without further ado, let's get into it. Here's my interview with Cyrus. Enjoy. Hey, hello, and welcome today. I'm talking to someone who needs no introduction. I'm talking to Cyrus Shepard. I have a long list of things that you are, Cyrus, so you can add to these or correct. You're an SEO strategist. You're an ex-Mozzer, founder of SEO company Zippy, online marketer, content publisher, speaker, and writer. How are you today, geez. Cyrus? Welcome.
I am well, man. That was an introduction. Since we've last seen each other in person, I moved to the coast. I have a house. I just fixed my old gate that was sagging and built a new one. So I'm also an excellent amateur carpenter at this point.
I'm incredibly envious. All I want to do is to learn to be self-sufficient and make things. And I couldn't feel further from that point at this very moment in time.
I'm so terrible at it, but it consumes me.
It's all you think about, apart from SEO and AI overviews.
Yes. AI overviews.
So on that note, we are obviously at a precipice of great change in search, and it's a place we tend to find ourselves quite a bit. So maybe we're comfortable there. But what we want to explore today is what has really changed. We're looking back at a video that Cyrus created, a fantastic and very popular Whiteboard Friday called 21 Smart SEO Tips for 2021, a time that we can probably vaguely remember. But when I look at it, a lot of the times, like, our goals remain the same. things we're talking about remain the same. We want to achieve the same things. We want to grow our audience and drive traffic and drive clicks and make a good website and have a good user experience. So the intention is still there. What do you remember about this time when you were filming this? What was going on? What caused this video to be made and to be? What do you feel when you look back on this video now?
Yeah, I think this was, correct me if I'm wrong, I think this was the last in a series of videos that we did every year. It was like 19 SEO tips for 2019, 20 SEO tips for 2020, and then finally 21 smart Google SEO tips for 2021. At that point, there was no more room on the whiteboard for any more SEO tips. This was near the tail end of the pandemic, so filming these things online was where we were all living daily. That's how we communicated with each other. And this sort of listicle, solid SEO tips that summed up the year was a very popular content format for people, and it resonated. And I worked really hard to make it just not a listicle, a listicle of original content, not a listicle of things that we find from, the internet where you normally see low quality listicles. I think listicles get a bad name, but yeah, I wanted to make it unique, high content tips that people hadn't necessarily heard before. So I think that's why it resonated.
Yeah, and I think listicles get a bad name because they have a bad name. It just does not sound good. The word
it does not.
It's not doing itself any favors. But what I really like about this content format is kind of what you're talking about. You're trying to create something that was really intentional and that was really structured. And at the very beginning, I love how you start by you set the scene. You let people know, like, this is how long it's going to be. You break it into very clear sections, which I think is very effective. And you also say right up front, like, this is what you're going to learn. And I think that helps as well make this piece so successful. And probably what you tell me, what you learned from kind of evolving this format is, yeah, you can have something that is fairly robust and long. I mean, it is fairly long for a listicle piece of content, but people know what they're getting into, so they're more invested.
Yes. Also, I remember this was really hard to make because there was a lot of work coming up. But isn't that the story of all great content? If the harder it is to make, the better it will do. But then when it comes time to update it, it's really hard. So make things that are difficult to scale is always the best advice when creating content.
That is something I definitely associate with you. Some of the original pieces of content you created for us, these amazing, like, 99 free tools, they're so robust, but then, that's them, that's done. That's it forever.
Yeah, that's why I probably only make like 6 pieces of content a year, because they're too difficult. You're taking my soul, Joe.
Yeah, that's what we do. We download people's soul.
Yeah.
But in that, what you're saying there is kind of, that's the philosophy. And I think that in doing it, you're showing people, like, when you're creating content, when you're trying to create a presence online, doing something that is hard to replicate, that still feels like something that is even more important, because you're not only talking about clicks and moments in time to try and drive traffic, but you're talking about brand.
Yeah. So we've seen, this is a hugely relevant topic you just raised. Since this Whiteboard Friday came out, we've seen Google really demote what they call commodity content that is scalable, that anybody can produce, even domains with high domain authority, lots of links, content that answers the user's question. If it's not within the unique domain of expertise of that website, or it can be replicated by anybody, we're seeing traffic go down. So investing in unique and original content seems more relevant than ever in 2025. And Google is giving some signals. They're sending some hints out there that they're going to start upping those uniqueness signals, those unique value signals, because AI can create a listicle. AI is brilliant at creating a listicle, but AI is really not great at creating truly unscalable content.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to touch on a couple of the very specific tips from these. And I think when people look back at this Whiteboard Friday, again, it's not necessarily a lesson in exactly doing what it it prescribes or suggests, even, because actually it's not even prescriptive, it's quite suggestive and based on here's some things that we see. We've seen how-to schema, which is mentioned in the how to sort of drive clicks, that kind of goes up and down, doesn't it? And now how-to as a concept is one of these big areas where this tactic is being massively impacted by AI overviews. And a lot of that is all of that informational search. But for us, and a lot of this stuff we're still researching, where I'm still seeing us present in terms of being present in organic and as a brand play in those AIO, and hopefully with a link and citation, are concepts we own, unique features that we have, and proprietary metrics. So I feel like if I'm looking through a positive lens, is this a dawning of an era of creation and invention, leading with creation and invention instead of replication?
Yeah. So a lot of you touched on brand a couple times there, and I think that's such an important concept. You and I both worked at Moz, one of the strongest brands in the SEO space. And Moz has been through a lot of changes over the years, but that brand has survived and carried so much positive equity. I talked to a lot of webmasters. SEOs were very guilty of always telling people, build a brand, build a brand, build a brand, build a brand. And I read a Facebook quote once where someone said, I wish I knew who said it, but they said, telling a small business to build a brand is like telling a homeless person, just buy a house. That will solve your problem. Building a brand is incredibly difficult, but it's the signal that's being rewarded in this new era of search. If you have a brand, you have a sustainable moat around your business, and it's not easy to do. But you and I have collaborated on many pieces before, and we put brand into everything that we did automatically. That was just when I worked at Moz. That's just the Moz way. Whether it's Whiteboard Friday, a branded content series, Moz Rank, Moz Bar, the toolbar that we used to have. Everything is brand, and over time, those brand signals build up, and you have something proprietary that you can hang on to that you've created. You're not just regurgitating information; you're inventing, and it's that spirit of invention that keeps content marketing exciting.
Absolutely. And you have jumped ahead to something else I was going to explore. What do you say to people starting out online now? If the main reward is through the creation and something that takes sustained efforts over time of brand, what do you say? So if you were putting together something, compiling a listicle in 2025 that took a similar approach, and you were like, what is it that you can do now that sets you up in that world? Is there an opportunity there for people just starting out?
There is, but it's certainly more difficult than it used to be. So today, I work with a lot of software companies still to this day, software companies just starting out. In the old days, we would do our keyword research and say, we want to rank for these terms. These are what we need to do. Today, it's more like, these are the terms we want to target, but we need to create something completely original out of this. We need to use our own internal data and type and create something that maybe no one is looking for, because we're not going to win creating the same old content. So we have to find what's unique in our company. What's our unique value proposition? We have to exploit that. Even if it's not generating a ton of search volume, we want to be part of the conversation. And that's going to get us further than the traditional route that we used to go.
And what is the content play at the moment? I've seen some of the pieces you're putting out, and again, looking at what you're doing to understand what formats are working is something that I tend to do. And you're if I'm to look at it through how I'm perceiving it, it is pieces that are interesting stories, experiences that you've had. They're not formulaic as much. It's something that you're looking at people you've met, experiences you've had, and then tying that back to interesting topics in the SEO sphere. So what is the content play at the moment that you're seeing the biggest opportunity?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. I'm not sure anybody has a really good answer, because for a lot of sites, the traffic is just going down. But so a couple of years ago, I worked as a Google quality rater, and we would have to evaluate every page on EEAT, experience, expertise, authority, trust. There's a lot of misconceptions around EEAT, but I think people really undervalue the quality of experience, showing firsthand experience, having other people talk about your experience, getting those media mentions, telling the story on the page, showing your methodology. This isn't just our post, but here's how we arrived at the post. Here's how we prepared everything. Here's the steps we took, and showing that expertise throughout everything. Original imagery. It's hard, AI is not going to recreate. They're really good at imagery, but having that human wide, high quality images of products and people talking like this. Video is very hard to replicate by AI, but that's kind of the standard. I think I've said that 3 times, so maybe there's something to it. Things that AI can't do, that's what you should be doing. If AI can do it, don't do it.
And one of the other areas that you look at in this, you break it down to 4 categories. You got the clicks. We're all still trying to find and understand that. You got the content, the tech SEO. We're looking at within that. I feel like there's pieces in that are still relevant. Although I would say tech is the kind of breaking the sitemap down, making sure it's understandable. Maybe more so because LLM crawlers maybe are not as advanced as some of the crawlers we're used to making our website available to.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I pick one out here? Because I see this Favicon optimization, number 1 of the smart SEO tips. Favicon optimization is still a hugely. I remember I was going to write a post about Favicon optimization after this, but it's still hugely under optimized for most websites. So I was just working with a site where we got review snippets installed across a bunch of product pages. And once the review snippets started appearing, click-through rate like doubled. And then they started ranking higher for those same terms. You can get the same effect. It's not as strong, but you can get a similar effect with a highly optimized favicon that just looks good, stands out in the SERPs. It's something you have 100% control over, and a lot of websites just ignore it. It's funny. The sites that get it with something instantly recognizable do better over time incrementally. And man, I'm going to write a post about that because it's still hugely important. I forgot the question. What are we talking about?
Yeah, Favicon jumped out at me too. Yeah, I was talking tech SEO. Having said that, I'm happy to talk about any of the tactics. Favicon as well, something that unfortunately has an unappealing name, which I think may be why people ignore it.
Favicon and Listicle. Who wants to do that in their SEO? No. I'm selling Favicon optimization services. Sign up at my website, zippy.com.
Favicon, thumbs up.
Yep.
How-to schema, build it as part of your fundamental structure. It's not going to be this hot topic tactic that's going to take you from nothing to whatever.
Yeah.
Tech SEO, crawlers, big sites, all that stuff, still relevant. Still need to pay attention to it so that it's digestible by these spiders.
So, what people need to know is that foundational SEO, it hasn't really changed that much since 2021. And we see these AI answer engines relying on traditional SEO signals to surface AI answers. And that's Google has a patent on, or I'm not sure if it's a patent, but PageRank, how they use PageRank to inform AI overviews. ChatGPT, searches their warehouse of web results that are ranked somehow. But so those traditional SEO signals are very important in informing AI answers, and they really haven't changed that much. And the fundamentals are still highly relevant. There are some differences. I think the differences though are slight at this point. One big difference with AI is that we see mentions across the web becoming more important, whether they're linked, unlinked. Just having people talk about you in the first 100 search results seems to be a ranking factor in how you appear in those AI answers, and that's also kind of gameable at this point. A lot of people in the SEO industry are figuring out that it's very easy to influence those AI answers. And I kind of hope, it reminds me of the early days of Google. And I kind of hope that Google and ChatGPT and the other answer engines kind of figure this out, because otherwise we're going to have a lot of spam in those answers in about a year. But the technical fundamentals really haven't changed all that much.
And I'm trying to remember the phrase you use about link building, because you you kind of let link building have it as a concept. You're like, God, link building. Oh,
no one likes link building. So yeah, so we saw. I'm kind of happy that this has become a thing. So back in 2021, when we filmed the Whiteboard Friday, there was a shift happening in the industry where manual outreach, getting the emails that we used to get 100 times a day, will you link to my stuff? That was starting among the top tier agencies. That was starting to die out. And the shift was, we're not going to do a lot of outreach. We're just going to create something that people naturally find and link to because it's so great. Now, there's still a lot of manual work out there, link placements and things like that. But I think it upped the content quality a little bit, and it's still my preferred method. I think of all the links that I've built in my career, I've done manual outreach like 5 times over 15 years, and all my best link acquisition plays have just been creating content that people want to link to and share. I've always said, and I haven't said it in a while, but I need to remind myself, your goal in creating content is to make other people look good. If you create something that helps someone do their job, that they want to brag about, that they want to share, that they can include in their own presentation because it's data or anything else like that, that's going to get the links. Make other people look good. Make content so good that other people want to steal it. That's going to get your links. That hasn't changed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, these things, some of these things, they just don't change. And one of the things you said, and it's something that I think you could apply to everything that you try and do as the first step to make sure you're doing the right thing. And you say this in association with one of the tactics that at the time I think was working in the clicks category, how to drive clicks, which is, putting numbers in titles. And these kind of things come in and out of fashion because we see an advantage and we try and get in there as SEOs. And then we say, oh, actually, you shift it now. You take the brand name out, you change it around. But you say sort of a phrase that has like 3 main areas to it, which is don't be spammy. Don't do it if it doesn't make sense, and don't fake it. And that, I think, probably works for all of these things, because ultimately you're trying to understand what gets you an advantage, but also as we think about brand more, also what makes people trust you more as well.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a fine line, and I think that's something people need to be cognizant of in 2025, that especially in the click area. We learned a couple of years ago that Google is really relying on click data to tell them what to rank. And so SEOs like myself have figured out these, ways to increase those clicks, put the dates in. And we've seen a backlash from Google actually start to penalize. So, but that's the thing. Those concepts still work. So it's always a balance. You want to entice the click, but you don't want to be spammy. You want to give, when they click, you want to give them real meat behind that answer and satisfy the user. Otherwise, if you're too aggressive with it, it's not going to work out. You're going to lose rankings. So yes, satisfy the user. It's amazing how important those click signals still are. Again, I'm rambling. I forgot the question.
Honestly, I've forgotten it too. If only we could rewind and watch back what we just said. I'm sure it'll become clear with time.
It's lost forever.
So let's think about, have we got, say, 4 or 5 things that we feel like, are there things that we can do in terms of content structure? We're not saying you just need to do these things to rank, because that's not going to be possible. You've already got your great idea. You've already got something where you've talked to somebody who has had that experience. You've had that experience yourself. You have a story. You've got something that you can pull out, maybe proprietary data. You've got something that's going to be appealing to your audience. And then when you structure that on the page, are we still paying attention to the fundamentals and the basics? Are we making sure that it's structured in a way that makes sense? That's easy. So now, previously maybe we're targeting, top 10, targeting featured snippets, maybe a few other of these packs. Now we're looking at AIO. What are some of the things that you're looking at in 2025 where you're like, I just need to make sure I structure it this way?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So one thing that's, I'm looking at the whiteboard here. One thing that jumps out at me that has changed pretty significantly since 2025 is the idea of producing long form content. When this video was made in 2021, long form content was the de facto standard of SEO content that you want to make. You want to cover every topic conceivable. You want to cover it in depth. We want to get the keyword coverage. To an extent, that's kind of true if you're trying to build links or get attention, though long form content is often pretty good at that. But something I don't see enough people talking about, Google is shifting towards short-term snippets. And what we're seeing ranking in Google SERPs are often much shorter content, answering very specific questions, and maybe produced more often. It's this new age of content production where you're producing lots more content quicker, but not necessarily long form. Because Google realized we were manipulating the SERPs with these long form contents. And so that changes how we need to think about our content creation process. We don't necessarily need these big content calendars where we're working months on a piece. We just need to get it out there, answer the user question quickly, show our expertise, get in and get out. And that also changes how we measure metrics and everything else like that. But it's a shift in thinking. Be very specific. Don't ramble. Solve a very specific problem and get out and move on to the next question.
You heard it here first, folks. 500 words max. That's it. That's the new rule.
Yeah, Cyrus Shepard said your content should not be longer than 500 words. If it is, my new tool will flag it and
wipe it from the web.
I will perform an SEO audit identifying all blog posts over 500 words.
A gazillion pages, all with one paragraph. You heard it here first, everyone. Get to it. Let's go. We can make this happen. Yes. Let's look a little bit to the future. We've talked about the past. We've talked about the present. We know that there's AIO, which I think we're all happily using, whether we feel like that's actually answering our problem or not, or we're looking at it gobsmacked and shocked and surprised, or correcting it in our heads. But we know that these are expensive. It's expensive for Google, and there's like a race to deliver something for their user that they feel like they can retain people. And we know it's not really being monetized very successfully, so it's got to be one of these loss leaders for their business. Through that lens, what do we think is going to be the future? There's a view that these results are certainly expanding. There seems to be more focus on it than ever. There's a race against these other players, OpenAI. How do we feel like in the next 5 years this is going to change for us and for the web?
When AI was first introduced to the world a couple of years ago, my immediate instinct was this is going to reduce clicks to most websites by 50%. And I think that has played out, or at least is in the direction of playing out, and it's going to be true. The question on everybody's mind is, where's the bottom? Where does Google stop the balance between AI answers and sending traffic to websites to allow websites to survive? People are calling this the new age of zero-click marketing. And for some businesses, especially publishers, people who rely on clicks, advertising, affiliates, zero-click marketing is a funny way of saying going out of business, because some business models just can't survive in this new era. So I don't know where it's going, but almost every client I work with is seeing a decline in click-through rates, even when we get impressions up. And it continues to go down, and we have not reached bottom yet. We probably have another 12 months before we reach an equilibrium, and it's going to be tough for a lot of businesses. So I don't know what the answer is. I don't think Google knows what the answer is. To your point, AI overviews are incredibly useful. Using AI to search 100 websites at once is such a better user experience for me than manually searching. That said, I still sometimes want to go to the website. I still publish content where people want to come look at the content that I create. But I don't know where the balance is. I'm not sure I'm not sure if anybody has that answer. But we need to be nimble. We need to figure out what's actually bringing people to the site. What value can we offer that the AI answers can't, and focus our energies there.
I couldn't agree more. The thing that really resonated with me on that is, at what moment does somebody want or need to go to your website? And I think the sharper focus we gain on that as businesses, the clearer we can make that funnel, continue to use fundamental tactics that help draw those clicks where appropriate, make a good experience for people on your site, then there is opportunity there. I feel like there is opportunity there.
Yeah.
It's shifting this big kind of bubble of informational content, and within that, where can we still see ground? I'm with you. I don't know. I don't know if anyone does.
Yeah, what I don't want people to do is give up. I don't want people to simply produce content for social media because they think they're not going to get the click. Drive those people to your website. Give them a reason to click. Produce content that will rank in Google. Do not go gently into that good night. Put up a fight. Create the don't give all your content to the algorithms. Keep some for yourself. It's your website. Create that content. Rank. Get the traffic. I'm not hugely in love with the idea that I vehemently disagree with the idea that the age of SEO is over. Maybe the golden age of SEO is over, but there's billions of clicks, like 6 billion clicks a day going to websites around the world. You want to be in that cohort of people getting clicks. It's a huge business. It's not going away. So don't stop. Keep going. Move forward. Just you might have to find a different avenue, but man, that's a lot of website visits.
That is a lot of website visits. And pivoting like this is what people have done for a long time. So I totally agree with you. If anybody would like to check out what Cyrus has been putting on his blog at Zippy, there's some fantastic pieces there that I've read recently. It tells the story. It's got experience in there. It's fascinating. I certainly wanted to click through straight away. But if you're not sure what to do in terms of your content, and you want to see what someone is doing that is working very well, from what I can see, check out Cyrus's website and all of his services that he provides.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Cyrus, for joining me today. Fantastic to chat with you and look back into the past, forward into the future. But for now, stick around and watch the 21 smart tips for SEOs in 2021. If you want to look back on that, the structure of the content is fantastic. The tips, it's good to analyze and see what was working then, because it's good to understand the past, to understand the future. Thank you so much, Cyrus, for joining me today.
Thank you, Joe.